Welcome back to What It's Really Like to Be an Entrepreneur. I'm Vincent Lanci, speaker and author of the book Left for Dead, A Story of Redemption. Want to know what it's really like to be an entrepreneur? Well, you came to the right place. Whether you're already an entrepreneur, are looking to start your journey tomorrow, or are someone who needs a little extra motivation to get through the day, this is the perfect podcast for you. This is the place where you will learn exactly what it's like in the world of entrepreneurship and hear real-life, authentic stories of entrepreneurs grinding on each episode. My goal for this podcast is to help you realize that giving up is never an option. Mike was the photographer at my book release up in New York, but has a much larger portfolio and story to share. I'm happy to now introduce to you Mike Gorman.
Awesome. Pumped to be on the show. Thanks for having me. It was great to meet you last week at the at the book signing. Pumped to be there and just experience that.
It's great to have you on the show and also great to see you again. Mike, why don't you share your story and what you're working on today?
So I went to school at Marist College in upstate New York, and I went to school, got a degree in systems programming. And after college, I got a job working on Wall Street as a systems programmer, and I have since quit to pursue my passion, which is photo, video, and everything that kind of combines art with technology.
Yeah, I'm excited for our listeners to hear your episode today. It sounds like a true entrepreneurial journey headed our way. Mike, something I do each week is I share an entrepreneurial story that is sure to inspire our listeners. And today I'll quickly introduce the story of a pretty famous name, Walt Disney. Everybody knows the names, but not many people know his story. He grew up as a farm boy and eventually tried to be a newspaper cartoonist, but ended up making ads for magazines and newspapers instead. Soon, he moved up the industry ladder, leaping up to a commercial gig. This opportunity sparked his animation interest, and no surprise here, soon opened his very own animation company. His first original creation and character was Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. Unfortunately, his idea had officially been owned by Universal Pictures because he was under contract at the time. He didn't want Universal to get the last laugh. He continued to work hard and was very motivated, maybe more than ever. Leaving Universal meant he needed to find a suitable replacement for Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. Here came Mickey Mouse. Like many of you entrepreneurs out there, he wasn't satisfied and began working on another endeavor to supplement his first, in addition to his amusement parks. He was quoted saying, "I wanted to look like nothing else in the world," and well, I think he did that. Mike, you've ever been down to Disney?
Yeah, back in the day when I was a kid.
Yeah, what memories do you have from there? What was your favorite ride?
Oh, I didn't love the rides because I think I went too late, and we always used to go to Six Flags, and I was really into Six Flags' rides, and then so Disney just, in my opinion, just didn't have the thrill that Six Flags had. I would honestly, I loved all Disney's water parks. I thought their water parks are a 10 out of 10. Blizzard Beach, I think, is the one.
Yeah, cool.
I remember loving that. And then I guess my biggest memory from Disney was just honestly Epcot and how bored I was.
Yeah, they have the food and wine festival. I go for that, which is nice. Try out different foods from around the world and some drinks.
Yeah, it's cool. I feel like Epcot is definitely one that you appreciate more when you're older.
Yeah,
but when I was a kid and I just wanted to go on the rides and my parents took me to Epcot, it was such a buzzkill.
Yeah. Great. So that's a great story. And now we're going to get into the big five. Each week, my guest and I will go over these 5 questions to help you learn what it's really like to be an entrepreneur. So here's question number 1, Mike. When did you realize that you weren't happy with what you were doing or that you simply just needed a change? Please talk about your business.
So after college, like I said, I went to work at a company called DTCC on Wall Street, and it was cool. I mean, it was a great job. Everything that I really could have wanted in from my degree and from college, I had, and I just wasn't happy. I specifically remember being at my desk in my cubicle and sort of looking over to the guy at my right who was 40 years older than me and still had the same sort of position as me. He just made more, but we were both systems programmers. And it was just I got to see him, and he was sort of looking at his 401k and getting excited to retire. And I was just man, if I do this forever, that's going to be me. I'm just going to move one cubicle closer to a window. So I have a better cube, but nothing's really going to change. That's it. And I just hated seeing what my life could be like in 40 years. And I just said, that's not for me. Like even if I fail at it being an entrepreneur, like I'd rather, fail than just have like the sure thing.
Yeah, I'm very similar situation. As I was going through my jobs, I kind of saw myself just kind of evolving there. But the way I really look at that is kind of making someone else's dream come true, opposed to being an entrepreneur and making your own dreams come true. Granted, you need money and you need to survive, but similar mindset there. Great answer. Let's move to number 2. What are one or two of the most difficult parts of being an entrepreneur? What can you describe as 2 of the more difficult parts?
Yeah, I mean, so definitely, I feel like in today's day and age, being an entrepreneur is definitely like very much like romanticized. Everyone sort of like wants to be an entrepreneur,
Yeah, right.
and it's like the cool thing to say. But when you're actually doing it, it's tough. And I would say that the toughest thing for me is just sort of like holding myself accountable. Not having a boss, and just sort of doing that and like figuring out like when you can take days off and just how you're gonna, like, you have no one to report to or anything like that, so you just have to be your own boss and your own human resources and your own everything. So it's just really hard sometimes. And I feel like when you're an entrepreneur, you actually end up working harder.
Yeah, I agree 100%. More hours. I find myself working early in the morning and then looking up and it's dinner. And when I'm at work, for something else, I'll be looking at my clock, seeing the minutes hand go by slowly. 4 o'clock yet, because you want to go accomplish your own goals. But as an entrepreneur, you're doing that all day.
Yeah, so it's tough, and it's tough to sometimes hold yourself accountable, and just if you do slip for a couple days or whatever, just to get back on, just keep grinding.
Yeah, you got to stay on top of yourself, but you seem to have done a pretty good job at that. Let's look at number 3. What is one of your greatest failures? Any point in life, what is one failure that sticks out in your mind, and what did it teach you?
So, I mean, I would probably say that my most important failure was trying to become a musician. Basically, like
let's get into that.
When I was working, obviously. So I was like, I heard house music. House music got really, really big, and I was like, oh wow, like I think I could do that because I'm good at computers. I don't really know music, but I'm good at computers. And I saw all these house music guys like Avicii, age like 23, Afrojack, age 22, just like traveling the world, just making awesome stuff with a computer. And I was like, oh wow, like I could do that. So I taught myself how to produce all while working. And the more and more I got into it, the more I started to like make more and more music. And the music was solid, never really like got too far with it, but I did eventually quit my job to try to really pursue the music thing. But basically what happened was I kind of learned that in order for people to listen to our music, we needed music videos.
Yeah.
And I had never picked up a camera once in my life. And I was like, I was like, I'm just going to shoot my own music videos. And, I shot my first music video and it was like, okay, it was good, whatever. It was fine. And then we kept doing more and more music videos. And it turned out that I actually enjoyed making the music videos more than I liked making the music itself. And that kind of spawned my whole video career. From there, I kind of was like, oh, wow, like I love making videos so much more than music. And basically from there, I was like, okay, well, how can I make money making videos? I did some Googling. I was like, okay, well, like wedding videography is a good way to get into it, where you can get paid, start a business, literally get paid to make videos and learn. So I started my own wedding videography company. And that's really how my true entrepreneur journey started.
So that failure kind of was a blessing in disguise, it sounded like.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. It was really responsible for everything. I mean, honestly, like it's like weird to think that because I had no traditional background in video, which is what I do all day, every day now. It's like if I never tried music, I never would have gotten into never would have gotten into video. So
yeah, let's touch a little bit more on that music. I know that you've performed at some pretty cool places. Why don't you share with our listeners how that music went?
Yeah, I mean, it was good. I did I guess like the coolest thing was like performing at Bonnaroo.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, it was a really, really cool experience. Then we did like this like CMJ festival in the city. You know, it was good. I mean, it was good. I mean, I always felt like our music was much better than it got received.
Yeah, well, it takes a lot of time as an entrepreneur for anything to build. So maybe it's just on pause. It will come back.
Definitely.
Number 4 out of the big 5, Mike. If you could choose to have one conversation and learn from any entrepreneur, dead or alive, who would that be?
So I actually just answered the dead and the alive, but I'll do it real quick. So dead, like I would just real quick, I just say like Steve Jobs, just because I would just love to, you know, obviously he's an awesome entrepreneur or whatever, but I would just love to hear like what he thinks of the direction that Apple's taken.
Oh yeah,
Why not? It would just, yeah, so that would be a cool one. Just to like be like, what the hell? Like there's 5 different iPhones right now. he would be so upset, I think. and then alive, you know, I would say definitely 100% Elon Musk, just because I feel like, you know, like Elon is the future, and just being able to talk to him and like get a sense of like what the future has in store for us would just be incredible.
Yeah, groundbreaking, kind of very disruptive stuff he's working on, and Tesla's unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, he's making these rockets. He's gonna put people on Mars, all this stuff. So just to hear.
Would you go to Mars in one of these for early runs?
I don't know. I think if you go to Mars, you can't come back. So
I don't know if I would. I don't know if he'd come back.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll probably never go to space. I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with it as well, because if you get sucked in. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Good answers. And let's move to number 5 here. Let's talk about, where do you see yourself in your entrepreneurial endeavors in 1 year from today? And after that, we'll look a little longer, maybe 5 years. But where do you see yourself in 1 year from today with what you got going on? How do you see yourself evolving?
1 year, you know, it's both tough because I'm always just changing things, always learning new things as technology improves. Like, you know, you like just so much stuff comes up. One thing that I'll say is that getting experience doing what I'm doing, I really learned the difference between being in a products type of business versus a service type of business. So right now I'm in a services type business. Basically, I'm trading my time for money. Like I do a job, I get paid, that's it. And it's you make a great living that way, but I'm ultimately like, I really want to start creating products.
Okay.
So that it's sort of like, you know, I make the product and then you're no longer trading time for money. You know, people are buying your products. And so that's what I want to get into, you know, digital products, maybe write a book like you did. I'm not going to write a book, but obviously that's an incredible product right there.
I appreciate
The road to redemption. And yeah, like, so I think that's what the future has in store for me, is trying to get away from services and more products.
If you had to pick one direction, where are you leaning towards going with those products? I know you said digitally, but what can you?
Well, there's like, it's tough to say. But, you know, like, how could I explain it? Like, there's all kinds of, like, templates that can be sold, like, filters that can be sold, tons of stuff like that. You know, like...
Just going to explain to our listeners who aren't as familiar with the...
Yeah. So, like, I mean, if you look... So, basically, if you, like, look at my Instagram feed, for example, you'll see that my pictures look a lot different than most other people's. They have like certain colors and to them and stuff. So like that's an example of something that I can sell, is like, you know, how to get your pictures looking the way that mine look. So yeah, education also I would say is like sort of a product. Like I could see myself like creating a class.
Maybe I was going to say create a course. You know, I've been reading a lot about that, how people, additional ways to make income, sell your knowledge.
Yeah.
You know, the time that you put into building your brand, share that knowledge with everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why, you know, like a podcast like this is so valuable, because it's free.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, because deliver value to our, you know, future entrepreneurs who are thinking they get discouraged after one letdown, when pretty much every day something isn't going right. Whether it's one thing, it's something new for sure. Thanks so much, Mike. I know our listeners will see the value in your episode tonight. I really enjoyed, you know, especially hearing, you know, your dead and alive entrepreneurs, but your journey of really looking over at the guy next to you in the cubicle, I think will resonate with a lot of people sitting in their desk on the fence of, can I do this or can I not? I think that will really help a lot of people. But it's time for the last word, Mike. Is there something you want to share with our listeners today that we did not get to touch on yet?
Well, there's tons.
You got to pick one thing, one or two things.
Yeah, I guess like if I could leave the listeners with one piece of advice,
that'd be great.
I would say that one of the big things for me is learning how to manage money better, saving money. Obviously, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to be smart with your money. You can't just go buying some piece of clothing on Instagram because you saw some cool ad. So I guess what I would say is, save your money, be smart, learn how to manage it better. And before you make any purchase, ask yourself, will this make me happy?
I love that.
And I think if you ask yourself that, you just might not buy it.
You might think about it twice.
Exactly.
Yeah. Awesome, Mike. Well, why don't you go ahead and share your social media, website, or ways for our listeners to follow your endeavors?
Yeah. So, I mean, mikegorman.com. Well, actually, so everything I have is like Mike, the letter X Gorman.
So we got mikexgorman.com.
Yeah. At mikexgorman on Instagram.
At mikexgorman on Instagram.
Yeah, I don't really use Twitter that much these days, but
well, I think Instagram and your website are going to be good resources for our listeners to see the work you can do.
Absolutely,
and to reach out to you. And YouTube, are you Mike X Gorman as well?
Technically, but it's yeah. If you just type Mike Gorman on YouTube, you'll find me.
Mike Gorman also on YouTube. Well, thanks again, guys, and follow the show on Instagram at Your Favorite Morning Podcast and on Twitter at Podcasts by Lanci. Of course, my handles are at Vincent A. Lanci on all social media and YouTube, and my website is www.vincentalanci.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, please continue listening and rate What It's Really Like to Be an Entrepreneur 5 stars. I work very hard to find value-delivering stories for you each episode that will certainly resonate with you. As always, I will follow the last word with a quote that inspired me, and I know it will for you too. Don't stop when you're tired. Stop when it's done. Thanks for listening to What It's Really Like to Be an Entrepreneur, and I'll see you next week.